Hi again. In Anthony Hoekema, the four major cults were dealing with his view of Seventh-day Adventism. Now he takes up the subject of the group as the exclusive community of the saved. Here again we appreciate the insistence of the authors of Questions on Doctrine. That is one of the basic manuals the Adventists put out a few decades ago. The Seventh-day Adventists do not believe that they alone constitute the true children of God, or that they are the only true Christians in the world, or the only ones who will be saved. At the same time, however, the Adventists do call themselves the remnant church for two reasons. Because they keep the commandments of God, particularly by observing the seventh-day Sabbath, and because they have the spirit of prophecy in the person of Ellen G. White. At this point, we should ask ourselves exactly what Seventh-day Adventists mean by the remnant church. It was pointed out above on pages 128-129 that according to Adventist teachings, the remnant church means the last segment of the true church left on earth. This judgment is confirmed by a statement found in a Seventh-day Adventist Bible study textbook. What then would be the remnant church? The last church, what is left at the end of time of God's church on earth. That's a direct quote from Principles of Life from the Word of God, 1960. If this be so, the Seventh-day Adventists claim that they are the remnant church really means we are the last true church left on earth, and all other groups which claim to be churches are not true, but false churches. Do Seventh-day Adventists actually teach that they are the true church of God? Yes, they do. This will become evident from the following quotations from the writings of Mrs. White, their inspired prophetess. Here's direct quotes. These are from several sources, but all by White herself. The decree that will finally go forth against the remnant people of God will be very similar to that issued by King Ahasuerus against the Jews. Today, the enemies of the true church see in the little company keeping the Sabbath commandment a Mordecai at the gate. I saw, that's Ellen G. White saw, that the Holy Sabbath is and will be the separating wall between the true Israel of God and unbelievers, and that the Sabbath is the great question to unite the hearts of God's dear, waiting saints. When the final warning shall be given, it will arrest the attention of these leading men through whom the Lord is now working, and some of them will accept it, that is the message about the seventh-day Sabbath, and will stand with the people of God through the time of trouble. To those who reverence his holy day, the Sabbath is a sign that God recognizes them as his chosen people. It is a pledge that he will fulfill to them his covenant. The keeping of the Sabbath is a sign of loyalty to the true God. As the Sabbath was the sign that distinguished Israel when they came out of Egypt to enter the earthly Canaan, so it is the sign that now distinguishes God's people as they come out from the world to enter the heavenly rest. The Sabbath is a sign of the relationship existing between God and his people, a sign that they honor his law. It distinguishes between his loyal subjects and transgressors. That's the end of the direct quotes from Ellen G. White. To which Hoekema says, in the light of the above statements, what conclusions must we draw with respect to the other churches of Christendom? We are compelled to conclude that according to Mrs. White, these other churches are not part of the true church, are not the true Israel of God, are not God's chosen people, are not loyal to the true God, are not God's loyal subjects, but transgressors. In fact, Christians who belong to churches which keep the first day as the Lord's Day are said to be the victims of one of Satan's most intensive campaigns against God's law. Quote, Satan strives to turn men from their allegiance to God and from rendering obedience to his law. Therefore, he directs his efforts especially against that commandment which points to God as the Creator. And of course, that's the fourth, the Sabbath commandment. That's a direct quote from The Great Controversy by Ellen G. White. So it is true that in their modern textbooks, like Questions about Doctrine, they back off they seem to back off this insistence, but how can they contradict their prophetess? That's the predicament they're in. I'll put in a link to the other side of the coin, namely that the churches of Christendom have been united for a long, long time, at least 1600 years. The Apostles' Creed, which they all confess, bears witness to that. And this is from the JW, that is Jehovah's Witnesses angle. If the churches of Christendom have been united 1600 years, was this Sabbath, from the SDA angle, was the Sabbath part of that confession? And the answer, of course, is no. From the standpoint of the Jehovah's Witnesses, what JW.org is not telling you about Christian unity. The Apostles' Creed actually tells you Christianity has been one in the essentials for a very, very, very long time. This is hidden from the eyes of cultists, of course, who only see the divisions, what they call divisions, of the denominations. See you next time.